What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you all had a nice weekend. Got a lot to talk about. A lot happened in the NFL, Black Monday, college football. A lot happened. So let's jump right in. To start off, Michigan is your college football national champions. They defeated Washington, the second best team in the country, last night, 34-13. Basically blew them out to win a national championship. Jim Harbaugh wins a national championship. Might be going to the NFL now. I'm not sure if that's his last game in Michigan, but Michigan basically just destroyed Washington. They got a lot of pressure on Michael Penix. He took a lot of hits. He looked like it was maybe might have been his ribs. The end of that last couple of drives, he was in a lot of pain every time he threw the ball. I was thinking to myself, there was like 3.5 minutes to go. Michigan had just went up by 3 touchdowns. Penix is clearly not right. I mean, he struggled a little bit last night. I literally said to myself, this guy is going to be a first-round draft pick. Stock might have fell a little bit. If he went out there and balled against Michigan, he was a lock to be a top 10 pick, not top 5. Because he struggled a little bit. May have dropped a little bit, but I still think he'll be a top 20 pick. This kid's a first-round pick. Obviously, he's out of eligibility. He's not coming back to Washington next year. He's going into the draft. The game is over. I know it's a national championship. You got to play to the final, to the clock hits triple zeros in the fourth quarter. But you're down 3 touchdowns with 3 minutes left in the game. The game is over. This kid's gonna be a first round pick in a couple months. He's clearly not right. I was thinking to myself, get him out of the game. Like he's gonna take one more. He's gonna take one more hit, and he's gonna, break his rib or something. And it's gonna be, even if he'll be fine by the combine, it would just be another thing for teams to, nitpick and to hurt his draft stock, get him out of the game. But thankfully, he was able to get without any other injuries. But Michigan wins the national championship. Blake Corum, their running back, what a stud he is. Oh, my God. I'm not sure where I'd rank him amongst running back, but, he's a really hard worker. So social media posts go viral about like his workouts in high school. He would wake up like 4:30 in the morning. He would start working at like 5:30. He's very, very, very hard worker. I think he'll be a great back in the NFL. He probably would have, I thought, was going to declare last year. If he didn't get hurt last year, first of all, Michigan might have won the national championship last year. I think they definitely would have beaten TCU. And then they would have played Georgia. They probably would have beaten Georgia right now. I think about it. It would have been a little closer to TCU. What did TCU lose? 63-7. It might have been like 40 to, to at least 40-27 or something. They probably still lost, but they would have at least been in that national championship last year. And of course, bad this year, and they were able to win. But if he was healthy, I think Michigan beat TCU in the final last year. And he probably would have declared last year. And he would have been at least a top 3 back in last year's class. He had Bijan Robinson was clearly the top back. And number 2 might have still been Jahmyr Gibbs. Of course, went 12th to Detroit. Bijan went 8th to Atlanta. But Corum would have been probably an early to mid-second round pick or worse last year. And he's got to be one of the top backs again this year. I guess he needs to be going in the second round. Might have been against him going in the first round. I know no one likes taking running backs high, but if you want to take them late in the first, I don't think it's that big of a deal. The kids could clearly play. But Michigan wins national championship, so shout out to them. We'll see what happens with Jim Harbaugh. If I had to guess, I think that was his last game in Michigan. I think he's been connected to the Chargers job for a while. He's dodged questions about it. I think behind closed doors, most people know that he's probably taking that job. I think it's where he's going to go. I heard maybe the Raiders. If the Raiders, for me, I have a hard time finding why they won't keep Pierce, but I heard it's a 2-horse race. Either they're going to go and get Jim Harbaugh or they're going to keep Antonio Pierce, which I think they should do because the players love him. They were 5-4 under him. They were a much better team. They certainly the ability, if they put the right team on the field, they get another quarterback and add some pieces on defense, maybe the offensive line. They can be very competitive next year. So we'll see what happens. But let's go to recap of Week 18 in the NFL. Of course, Last week of the regular season, a lot of playoff implications. Of course, in Week 18, we'll start off with the Saturday game. Steelers beat the Ravens 17-10. Mason Rudolph gets it done, threw for 152 yards and a touchdown. Of course, doesn't jump off the screen, but he's doing enough to win the game. Kudos to Mason Rudolph. He's come off the bench cold, and he's played well. He hasn't really let anybody up. He really balled out against the Bengals. The other 3 games he started, his numbers just been kind of okay. You know, the second start, I think he threw for like 270 something, no touchdowns, but didn't throw any picks. And in the last 2 games, he hasn't even reached 200 yards, only 1 touchdown. But the big thing is no turnover. He's only got like 1 interception in the 4 games he started. And the offense has looked better, has looked probably the best it's looked all year with Mason Rudolph. But first of all, it was a major concern for me for Kenny Pickett. This kid's a 3rd-string quarterback. He hasn't started the game in several years. And, this offense, which has looked awful all year, no matter who's calling the plays, has looked a lot better with him. All of a sudden, under him, all of a sudden, the running game almost took off. George Pickens snapped out of a slump. Didn't have any catches against the Ravens, but, the previous 2 games before that, he absolutely went off. Deontay Johnson, looked really, really good. He played very well with Mason Rudolph. So, the Steelers did their part. Getting to 10 wins. Ravens, of course, rested a lot of guys. Lamar Jackson didn't play. Zay Flowers didn't play. They already had the 1 seed locked up. They finished 13-4. And in the other side of the game, the Texans beating the Colts 23-19. Great game. C.J. Stroud played great. Threw for 264 and two touchdowns and 195 yards on the score for Nico Collins. Jonathan Taylor lost, went for 188 yards and a touchdown. When it comes to that last play of the game, look, on the 4th and 1, he had 1 minute and 6 seconds left. You're in the red zone. I don't think that was a great throw by Gardner Minshew. It was a little low. Tyler Goodson should have caught that ball. In the NFL, you're wide open on that play. That play has to be made. But also, why is Jonathan Taylor not on the field? He's your best player. He's killed the Texans all night. He's got 188 yards in the game. He got you down the red zone on that drive, like twice on like 3rd and 5 and 3rd and 7. He converted. Why is he not on the field? Give the ball to him. Let him get you a couple yards, and now you're on the 10, 12, definitely inside the 15-yard line with 1 minute left, and all you need is a touchdown and make an extra point, and you're going to win the game. Because at that point, Houston will get the ball maybe 45 seconds left, needing a field goal, which is next to impossible to do. So I do not like that decision by Shane Steichen, but that play needs to be made by Tyler Goodson. Second goal with 10-7. The Texans go to the playoffs. Colts miss out. Other games, Bengals over the Browns, 31-14. Browns were resting most of their starters with their seed already locked up. Bengals finished 9-8. It'd be interesting what happens with Jake Browning because he's played very well in place of Joe Burrow. Unfortunately, came up a little short of the playoffs. Jake Browning said after the game that he thinks that he's proven that he's a starting quarterback in this league. He said it's kind of weird that, he's proven that he's one of the top 32 guys, but he's on the same team as the guy who's proven to be one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the road, Joe Burrow. And he's 1,000,000% right. He's played well. He probably deserves a shot somewhere. He also had a lot of weapons here. He had Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon. So if he goes somewhere where the offense isn't as good, will he have the same success? I don't know. But will be interesting. Will somebody call the Bengals and give them a draft pick, to pick up Jake Browning and maybe give Jake Browning a shot? I actually liked him at Washington. I never thought he'd be do a whole lot in the NFL, but he was good at Washington. I think Minnesota took a flyer on him late in the draft. Never really played there. They let him go. Of course, beyond the viral clip. You never should have effing cut me when he beat the Vikings. He was the Bengals backup this year. Obviously, got a shot when Burrow got hurt. He couldn't win to the playoff, but actually did play well. Lions over the Vikings, 30-20. So that knocked the Vikings out. They would need a miracle anyway. But that knocks them out. Nick Mullins for 396, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. That's Nick Mullins' game. Just chuck the ball up really deep. And he'll throw for a lot of yards, but also have a lot of turnovers. In his 3 starts, he had 9 interceptions, I believe. But Lions, 12-5, NFC North champs, of course. They already had that locked up. What a phenomenal year for them. The Titans have a huge upset over the Jacksonville Jaguars, 28-20. That gifts the AFC South crown to the Houston Texans, who would have thought that before the season. Jaguars lose 5 of the last 6, complete collapse, missed the playoffs. Titans finish at 6-11, and with Jaguars losing that, clinch a playoff spot for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and of course the Buffalo Bills, who we'll get to them soon. But regardless of whether or not they won the game against Miami, they would have been guaranteed a playoff spot anyway because Jacksonville lost. That was inexcusable by Jacksonville Jaguars. What a collapse! Trevor Lawrence, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Really didn't have that great of a year, to be honest. Trevor Lawrence. I think he ended up with 21 passing touchdowns against 14 interceptions. That's not generational prospect. The Jets beat the Patriots 17-3. Finally, the streak is over. After 15 straight losses over 8 seasons, the last time they beat them was the Jets had beaten the Patriots was in 2015. Jets finally beat the Patriots. As bad as their year was, thank God they won this game. Brees Hall, 37 counts, 178 and a touchdown. This game was really painful to watch. It was as bad as everyone thought. You know, you got 2 of the worst offenses I've ever seen. 2 teams that are already out of the race that are absolutely terrible. Obviously, Patriots have a lot of uncertain futures with Bill Belichick possibly leaving the organization after almost 25 years. But Jets, we don't know what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers next year. Yeah, obviously, it was snowing the whole time in New England. It was at Gillette Stadium, and it was ugly. The game was Jets were up 9-3 for a while. No, they're up 6-3 at the half. They're up 6-3 for a while, and then they got a field goal to make it 9-3. Then Zappy, on that one drive, Zappy got picked off by Ashton Davis. For whatever reason, didn't go down. A freaking idiot. And then he fumbled, and Patriots got it back. When that happened, I was like, I literally thought, this screams just typical Jets. Now the Patriots are going to get new life. They're going to score a touchdown, and they're going to beat us. But then Zappy got picked off again. I think by Jordan Whitehead or something like that. And then Brees Hall breaks off a big run. They go for 2, and that iced the game. Of course, the Patriots fumbled the kickoff. That was kind of defined the Patriots season. Just complete screw up. Saints beat the Falcons 48-17. That eliminated the Falcons. Kept the Saints alive briefly. At the end of that game, of course, the Saints got an interception very late in that game, and they returned it down to the 1-yard line. And then they put Jameis Winston in the game. They didn't want to get Derek Carr hurt in case they made the playoffs. If Tampa lost, so they put Jameis Winston in, and they lined up at the goal line. They lined up in victory formation. They went to take a knee, but they faked a kneel down, and Jameis Winston handed it to Jamal Williams, one of the running backs, for a touchdown. And you saw Arthur Smith got really pissed off at Dennis Allen after the game, and Dennis Allen said he apologized to Arthur Smith in the press conference, and he said he didn't want to go for a touchdown. He actually told the players not to. The players did it on their own. Then they asked Jameis Winston. He said, "Yeah, Dennis Allen told us not to." He said he wanted to get, because we've seen Jamal Williams in the press conference. He's obviously a very fun guy to be around, and I guess the players really like him. He hadn't had a touchdown all season, so they wanted him to not go the entire season without getting a touchdown. So even though when Winston asked Dennis Allen, "Hey, can we get him a touchdown?" He said, "No, take a knee. This game is over. No reason to get God for somebody gets hurt." Remember, if they won, that kept them in the race. There was a scenario where they could have gotten into the playoffs, even won their division. But Jim Clinton said it was a team decision to go for it. It's one thing if they lined up in like a regular goal line formation, they handed off uh to Jamal Williams. Did I say Jameson before? If so, I apologize. I meant Jamal Williams. James Williams is the receiver on the Lions. Jamal Williams is the Saints back. It's one if they lined up on like a regular goal one formation, they handed off to him. Okay, it would make a lot of sense. It's like, okay, you're already up 41-17 in the final seconds of the game, but okay, cool. But no, I wouldn't have a problem with it. All right, you're on the 1 yard line. If the Falcons don't want, didn't want it to happen, don't throw an interception, give up a return to the goal line. Don't give up a 1 yard touchdown. But you want up in victory formation. Don't do that. That that's just stupid. Don't fake a knee. It's different. It's one thing if it's like late in the game and it's a big game, you're down by a field, and you do a fake spike like damn near did against the Jets. That was different. That was like a big moment. That was a really strategic play that won them a big game. You're up 41-17 in the final seconds of the game. The game is over. Either punch it in and then kick the ball off, and the Falcons will, and then run the rest of the clock, or take a knee, pinball the referee, and shake hands and go home and wait to see what happens the rest of the league and see if you're getting into the playoffs or not. It's just stupid. And to me, I don't know why Dan Fallon still has a job. He's clearly lost the locker room. He's shown that he's not a good coach. Probably he's lost the locker room. When he says to his quarterback's face, we're taking a knee here, and then they went. Not only did they not take a knee, they lined up like they were going to take a knee, faked it, and then ran a play which caused some issues. Like, come on, that's just stupid. So stupid. But the Bucs beat the Panthers 9-0, and getting them to 9-8. They clinched the NFC South. Baker Mayfield gets it done. They had the Packers over the Bears 17-9, so the Packers clinched the playoffs. Jordan Love those for 316 and 2 touchdowns. Look, I'm still also that Jordan Love is a franchise guy. At the end of the day, I think he's really good because he's cheap. If he put up the same numbers and he was making $40 million, I think we'd probably give him the same criticism that we give like Dak Prescott. Like, all right, good, but is he really matching his contract? I feel like a lot of the games were against competition that's not that good that he played well in. But he did play really well in the second half of the year and deserves another year for sure. And this might be Justin Fields' last game as a Bear. I'm hearing he's more likely to be traded. I'd keep him. I think part of me thinks I should keep him. I do believe him. I do think he's a really good quarterback. If you give him a better offensive line and their running game stays healthy, and you give him a better play caller, I'm hearing Luke Gets, their offensive coordinator, is going to be fired in the next couple days. I think he's a special talent, but also, he's played 3 years. He's got next year and then his 5th-year option. You got to decide to pick up his 5th-year option. If you do, you might have to pay him either this year or next year. You're going to have to pay him next year for sure. So if he goes out and if he goes out and has a good year next year, but you don't want to give him like 40+ million, now you're stuck. If you trade him, you can get some draft picks back. You can draft a kid who will be on a rookie contract. You can evaluate and develop. If you do it the right way this time, you won't have to pay him for another 3 or 4 years. It might make more sense. But if you think you have something in Fields, you take a shot with a kid in the draft. At the end of the day, is a maybe. I don't know. Also, it seems to be that what they're going to do is that they're going to trade Fields and they're going to take Caleb Williams. I don't think should be the case. I think he's got way too many character issues. I don't think he's going to work in the NFL. I think he's going to be a major bust. If they're going to take Drake May or even Jane Daniels, I can understand that. But I fear they're going to trade him to Atlanta or wherever the hell else, and he's going to go out. He's going to go out there. He's going to become a really good quarterback, in the right system. And then they're going to draft Caleb, and Caleb in 3 years is going to be out of the league, and then they're going to be screwed. And that is move that will get a GM fired. Like if Ryan Poles trades Justin Fields for a 2nd-round draft pick and takes Caleb, and in 3 years they're just as bad. They're still not any better than a 5, 6, 7 win team. Caleb Williams is a bust. Like he's fired. He's gone. Ryan Poles is got to make a decision. This is like a job defining thing for him. Because he got a haul for the number 1 pick last year. He got the 9th pick, which he ended up trading back with about to the 10th pick. He got the first pick this year. He got, a second round pick last year. He got a Pro Bowl receiver and DJ Moore. He got a haul. Other than that, what has the guy done? Like, he's done nothing. He's not put enough to line around this kid. He have a second round pick for Chase Claypool, which blew up in his face. He hasn't, he hasn't brought enough talent on the defensive side of the ball. If he either, keeps Fields and passes on a top quarterback, and one of these quarterbacks ends up being a stud and Fields is a dud, he at the end of the day, he made one good trade. Or if he trades Fields and Fields pans out and the kid he drafts is a dud, again, he made one good trade in 3 or 4 years plus as a GM. That doesn't make you good. It makes you, you had a flash in the pan move, everything else sucked. So big offseason coming from the Chicago Bears. The Raiders beat the Broncos 27-14. Game didn't matter. Both teams finished 8-9. See what the Raiders do at the head coach position. See what Denver does at quarterback. It won't be Russell Wilson, that's for sure. He will not be there next year. The Giants beat the Eagles 27-10. What is going on with the Eagles? What a collapse. Brian Johnson is as predictable as a play caller as I've ever seen. He's so predictable. It almost seems like the defenses pretty much know what the play is, like right when the Eagles go up to the line of scrimmage. And on defense, I don't know why they made Matt the defensive coordinator. I don't know what anybody ever saw in him. Cool, he hit the Patriots defense with him as a coordinator were good when he was there. He had Bill Belichick standing right next to him. Then he goes to Detroit to be a head coach and was atrocious. God awful. Then, he bounced around. He went back to New England as an assistant. They tried him as an offensive coordinator last year for God knows why. Then, Philly brought him in as an assistant. Then they demoted Sean Desai. Look, Sean Desai wasn't doing a great job, but I think that the solution was Matt Patricia. I don't understand. And look, Nick Sirianni, I like him. I like the fire he bring. I know he comes off a little arrogant, but that kind of fits like the culture in Philly. So he kind of fits in Philly, honestly. I think the players are really frustrated with him. I think they're saying, look, I know Brian Johnson calls the plays, but at the end of the day, he's not the guy. It's his offense. He's the one, who hired Sean Desai to be their defensive coordinator after Jonathan Gadden left to be a head coach. He's the one who brought in Matt Patricia to be on the staff, and the one who made the play call from Sean Desai to Matt Patricia. If I'm the players, I'm going up to him like, dude, you got to get your coaching staff in order because it's just not working. Jalen Hurts last year we got this huge contract, and now he's a turnover machine all of a sudden. Like this, the personnel they have is so good, but I don't get why all of a sudden they're struggling. This run game, which should be dominating, and it's not. AJ Brown, the first half of the year, was probably the MVP of the league. He's put up 125 yards every game. The second half, he's been mediocre. He's been another good receiver. Devonta Smith has done nothing in a while. This defense, which last year was phenomenal, almost broke the sack record, most sacks in the season last year. Brought back basically the same group, besides C.J. Gardner-Johnson and then Marcus Epps. They replaced with Terrell Edmonds, and eventually you make a trade for Kevin Byard midseason. And you added 2 guys in the draft, in Jim and Carter, who might win Defensive Rookie of the Year, Nolan Smith, who I think has a lot of potential to be really good in this league. And your defense since week 12 is the worst defense in the league. I think since week 12, they came into this game, I think second worst scoring defense. They have the second most yards per game, second most passing yards per game. Darius Slay, whose whole career has been one of the league's best corners, was horrible this year. James Bradbury has been off a great year. He's always been a really good corner. And he's been horrible. The Kevin Byard trade, which was meant to fix their issues in coverage, did nothing. I just don't get it. How they're playing this bad. They might lose to Tampa. They just might. Going into this game, I thought there's no shot who, the AFC South winner beats the Eagles. Now, Tampa might win that game. If Philly can't stop a nosebleed in the secondary, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are going to tear them apart. If Jalen Hurts turn the ball over left and right, and AJ Brown isn't stepping up, something's wrong. Like they might be able to score a good amount of points, but they're gonna get lit up by Tampa. They're going to get lit up. I don't think they're gonna have an answer from Mike Evans. I don't know how much they'll even do against Chris Godwin, to be honest. Rashad White's gonna cause problems catching the ball out of the backfield. That's a concerning matchup for me. Where the Eagles are playing. Seahawks over the Cardinals 21-20, unfortunately, because the Packers they missed the playoffs. We'll see what happens to Pete Carroll. Seahawks haven't won a playoff game in a while. They've only won a couple playoff games since they went to their second straight Super Bowl. That was about 10 years ago. So we'll see what happens. But they missed the playoffs at 9-8. I mean, what they really need is a new quarterback. Geno's just not the guy. Chiefs over the Chargers 13-12. Chargers suck. Chiefs were resting their stars. Who cares? Chiefs were locked into the 3 seed. Rams over the 49ers 21-20 in a battle of Carson Wentz against Sam Darnold. We saw some schedule like, this is going to be a great game, and then we get Carson Wentz and Sam Darnold. That's the 49ers, where he locked to the 1 seed, and the Rams already clinched a spot. They were pretty sure they're getting the 6. But they decided to rest Matthew Stafford and a bunch of other guys. They even play Kyren Williams. Somebody else might rested too. Cooper Kupp may or may not have played in that game. To be honest, I think the only reason they played Puka Nacua is because they want him to get the record. He got the record for most catches and receiving yards. That's a rookie. What a story. He is his 5th-round pick. You see how close he is with his family. Where he comes from. What a year he's had. Absolute stud. Cowboys over the Commanders 38-10. I can't say. I would say I'm surprised, but I'm just not. If anyone who didn't think that was this game was not going to be an absolute blowout was lying to themselves. I wasn't even sure if Dallas would play their stars in the 4th quarter just because the game would be like 40-10, and that was pretty much right. And the Bills beat the Dolphins 21-14. Bills win the AFC East. Dolphins choke away the division. They drop into the wild card. So I'll do my game picks tomorrow because tomorrow's game picks Wednesday. But the AFC, the Ravens are the 1 seed. The 2 seed is Buffalo Bills, who won the E. 3 seed is the Kansas City Chiefs. 4 seed is the Houston Texans. That sounds weird to say. The 3 wildcards are the Cleveland Browns, the Miami Dolphins, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. In the NFC, the number 1 seed is the San Francisco 49ers. The 2 seed is the Dallas Cowboys. The 3 seed in the NFC is the Detroit Lions. Shout out to the Detroit Lions for finally winning their division for the first time in 30 years. The 4 seed is Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're 9-8, but the division sucks. That was enough to win their division. And the 3 wildcards are the Philadelphia Eagles, the Los Angeles Rams, and the Green Bay Packers. Those are the wild cards in the NFC. All right. Black Monday. Coach is getting fired. Who's getting fired? Who's staying? So the Atlanta Falcons fired Arthur Smith. Every 3 seasons. Thank goodness. Luck. Desmond Ritter's terrible. He's not a good quarterback, but I don't understand. You have a generational back in Bijan Robinson. You have Drake London, a really good young receiver. You have the highest reputation ever in Kyle Pitts. You had 3 guys who were top 10 picks. One of these was top 5 in picking Kyle Pitts, and you just won't use them. He runs his offense through freaking Tyler Algier. I don't get it. To me, Arthur Smith ran that offense as if the Boston Celtics, who of course had that crazy good starting lineup with 5 All-Stars, if Joe Mazzulla decided, all right, I have Jason Tatum, who's one of the best players in the league. Jaylen Brown's an all-star caliber player. Kristaps Porzingis is an all-star caliber player. You know what? Let's run my offense through Luke Cornett, a 3rd-string center, and a 2nd-round rookie in Jordan Walsh. Let's run my offense through them. Let's play them 35 minutes a game and sit and not play and not run my offense through, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, 2 of the best players in the entire league. He overcomplicates everything. Goodbye. See ya. I think he's actually a very good play caller. I mean, he was a great offensive coordinator in Tennessee. I I could see him getting a job as an offensive coordinator, but he's not a good head coach. Washington fired Ron Rivera. Look, I love Ron Rivera, but he was a head coach in the NFL for 13 seasons. He was over 500 maybe like 4 times. He's not a good head coach. I wish I didn't have to say that. I wish I liked him more than I did as a head coach, but I'll take him on my staff as like an assistant, or I'll take he's a good guy to have her just in the building. But like, I don't want him as my head coach, and he needs to go. And the Tennessee Titans have just fired Mike Vrabel. As I'm recording this, he was fired probably about not less than an hour, probably less than 30 minutes when I'm recording this. Also there was rumors that his contract was ending, which obviously is true. Was getting along with GM Ron Carfin. And then the Patriots job opened up, and he all of a sudden said he was interested in that before he even got fired. And something else that just came out. Apparently, Titans didn't want to trade him, so they didn't want to have to wait around for anything. They didn't want to trade him. I don't know why. So they decided they had to make a quick decision, and because of his contract, that they decided to let him go. Not sure if I agree. He's been there 6 years. Overall, did a good job. Really wasn't given that great of roster. John Robinson was horrible as GM. Ron Carfin in year one hasn't done a whole lot of good things. I think he's a really good coach. I think one of the best coaches in the NFL. I'm shocked that Ron Carfin didn't at least get something for him. I kind of saw him leaving. I didn't think he was happy there. I think he was ready to move on. But I did not think that Ron Carfin would let him go for free. I think he'd either be like, look, I know, we have our differences, but give me a chance. I'll get, we drafted a young quarterback that, look, I don't think is very good, but they seem to believe in. I will say, definitely there's a shot. He actually was pretty good this year, considering how bad that offense is in Will Levis. I'll get you some pieces, go next year and see what happens. And then if he's like, look, I'm not coming back. I want to go somewhere else. Then work out a trade. Work out a Simon trade. Get a draft pick or two back from their team, and then their team will sign him to a contract to be their head coach. Something like that. Like they let him go for free. I really don't know what they're doing. So right now you have a young quarterback who's got some questions with no offensive line, really only one true upper than DeAndre Hopkins, who's only got another year on his deal. I'm not sold that he doesn't want out. Derrick Henry is not going to be there next year. I mean, he did his little speech after the game. He said in the past he's not going to resign there. A pretty good defense, but they're just inept on offense, completely inept. They have a young quarterback who's they still have to develop. No line, no run game, really one true weapon who's getting older than DeAndre Hopkins, and no head coach. So I'm not really sure where they go from here. I'm not sure what they're going to do at the head coach spot, but a lot of questions in Tennessee. The Chargers, of course, fired Brandon Staley midseason. They already started their search. They're going to interview Steve Wilks, who's the 49ers defensive coordinator, who was head coach for a year in Arizona. Wasn't good. I thought they pulled the plug a little too early. That roster was really, really bad with the Arizona Cardinals. Like he was not good in that one. They were 3-13, but you had Lion Fitzgerald at the very end of his career. You had a rookie Josh Rosen, who was obviously horrible. I'll never forget him saying, "Oh yeah, there was 9 mistakes ahead of me when Arizona took him at the 10th pick, traded up to get him the 10th pick, and then he went out there and was bleh, terrible." And he was the interim coach last year for Carolina, and then they probably I thought should have kept him. When they brought in Frank Reich, I wasn't super like upset because I do like Frank Reich, but now looking back, I was like, yeah, they should have kept Steve Wilks. And he was the defensive coordinator this year for the 49ers. I mean, I think I could have led that defense to a top defense this year. He's got more talent than he knows what to do with on that defense, but probably deserves another shot to be a head coach. The Ravens defensive coordinator Todd Monken. He did a really good job here. He probably deserves a shot. And then both the Lions coordinators, Ben Johnson, of course, is as hot a candidate as it gets, and Aaron Glenn. Well, it's not sold on, but I do like. The Jaguars made some changes. They fired their defensive coordinator Mike Caldwell and the entire defensive staff. I was thinking the other day, like, will Doug Marrone get fired? Not Doug Marrone. Why that's Doug Marrone? That was a former head coach. Will Doug Peterson get fired? He did a great job last year, but the team just completely collapsed. But I think it's the right move. He did a good job last year. I've also Pearson just he's an okay head coach. You think in Philly he gets the job there. The first couple of years did a really good job. In the last couple of years, just kind of whatever he was doing just wasn't working. And then after 5 years he got fired. So that stupid little stunty he pulled, basically tanking in the last game of the year against Washington, which cost the Giants the NFC East. So the NFC East was historically bad that year. So and then he comes to Jacksonville last year. I wasn't sure when they hired him, but he did a really good job last year. Obviously, stole the division away from the Titans, wins a playoff game after that great comeback. He did a really good job last year. Was a head coach of the year finalist, but this year, collapse. I'm just a little I'm a little worried that it's gonna be the same thing in Philly. Like the first couple years, okay, it worked, but then eventually it was like, you're not going anywhere. You're gonna be 9-8, 10-7, losing the first 2 rounds of the playoffs forever. But probably right move, the defense definitely struggled. They've had tackling issues all year. Mike Caldwell definitely needs to go. And the entire defensive staff went. So basically, I'm not sure who made a decision, if it was Peterson, if Fred Bulky, their GM, had a role in it, if the owner Shah Khan had a role in it. Basically, this is Pearson saying, "All right, my bad. I didn't do a good job of hiring a staff on the defensive side of the ball. They're all gone, but now it falls on him. So if Jaguars miss the playoffs again next year, expect to see Doug Peterson have a job." So that's something else that happened. The Giants defensive coordinator Don Martindale stepped down. This is a weird one. For weeks, there's been tension that there's been rumors that there was tension between Brian Dable and Martindale. They both denied it in press conferences. Dable said after the last game he expects him to come back. Then Martindale stepped down. I just think they weren't seeing eye to eye. I mean, yes, you look at some of the game. The defense had a lot of games where they played really well. Their offense was just absolutely inept. But when you look at the numbers, obviously they got their pressure rates were really, really good. But with 2 years he's been there, the defense didn't really rank that high in really anything besides pressure rate, because all the man does is blitz. And to be honest, he's Don Martindale. This is the cycle of him. He comes in there the first couple of years, defense play very well under him. He starts getting a lot of hype. Then also the offense realize, oh, wait a minute. All he's doing is blitzing. He's very predictable. And then defense also starts falling apart under him. And then the next 2 years are like, what the heck happened? All he's doing is blitzing. That's all he knows how to do. He loves to blitz. He's too predictable. And eventually he gets fired. And look what happened. I just think David was like, look, we've gone back and forth throughout the year, whether or not, the stuff was true or if it was exaggerated or not, we haven't seen that eye to eye throughout the year in some way, shape, or form. You just won't stop blitzing. The ball's on the 5-yard line, and you just blitz. Like, what? What are you doing? No. If you're not seeing it's just not going to work. It's not like, and again, if you look at the numbers, the Giants didn't rank past even average in really any category besides pressure rate, but because he blitzes every play. Like, that's not really saying much. So it's not even like he did that great of a job. And that Giants defense is really talented. There was a lot of good talent on that defense. Dexter Lawrence is no problem. Bobby O'Kekere is really good. Xavier McKay is really good. Those are the only two players in the league this year to play every snap this year. Kudos to them. You got, Kayvon Thibodeau had a big year. Deontay Banks played well as a rookie. There's a lot of talent on my Giants defense. The fact that they overall were just kind of mediocre for 2 years, with all that talent, it's honestly kind of sad, and it's just not enough. The Carolina Panthers fired GM Scott Fitterer. Thank God, he's awful. People were like, "Oh, it's David Tepper, the one who made the move for that terrible Bryce Young trade." But at the end of the day, Scott Fitterer is the one who called the league to make it official, and that's what other teams will remember. He needs to go. He was terrible. He basically said, "You know what, Bryce Young? I'm going to throw a bunch of money at Miles Sanders, who's cleared a system back in Philly. Let's sign Adam Thielen, who's still pretty good, but not near the same." The guy said, disappointed because I was chasing a Super Bowl. I'm not sure why he got the Carolina Panthers were going to bring him a Super Bowl anytime soon, but why he signed there, but, okay. If that's what, that's what you're going with. DJ Shark and Hayden Hurst. Oh, yeah, we're just going to ignore the offensive line, which absolutely sucks. We're going to ignore the defense, which isn't that good. But good luck. I don't know what the hell you expect it to happen. Look, they missed on the pick. Well, I won't say they missed. Bryce Young could still turn out to be really good. But CJ Stroud is going to be an absolute superstar. He also had a better setup. He's got a really good coach in DeMeco Ryan. It's a good play caller. Tank Delwin healthy was really good. Nico Collins was really good. They had a pretty good run game. So he had some more. He had more to work with. But still, as a rookie, run for over 4,000 yards, 24 touchdowns, less than 10 interceptions, only like 5 picks, I think. Led his team to a division title. Then you got Bryce Young going out there, going for 108 yards. They took the wrong guy. I'm sorry. They gave up way too much, and they took the wrong guy. That's as simple as that. So the New England Patriots are having some staff issues. Not sure what's going to happen with Bill Belichick. Apparently, Bill wanted to keep Matt Patricia as offensive coordinator last year, and then Kraft pressured them to make the change. So he brings in Bill O'Brien, and Bill O'Brien wanted to bring in his own offensive staff. He wanted to make some changes to the rest of the offensive staff. But the only guy who Bill O'Brien let him bring in was the tight ends coach, Will Warning, who's been with Bill O'Brien since he was in Houston. He was on his staff in Houston. He actually followed him to Alabama as well when O'Brien took the OC job at Alabama after he got fired in Houston. And a lot of people throughout the organization thought that Bill O'Brien favored Will Warning and the assistant quarterbacks coach, Evan Rothstein, for some reason. I'm not sure what substance there is to that, but so apparently it screwed up the staff dynamic. So it'll be interesting to see if Bill Belichick gets fired. There's a lot of coaches wait and see on if they get fired. I heard if Dallas loses early in the playoffs, McCarthy might get fired. If Miami loses to Kansas City, which I think is happening, Mike McDaniel might get fired. There's rumors about maybe Pete Carroll Seattle might move on from him. So we'll see. We will see what happens. Be very interesting, but Washington makes a move. They are bringing Bob Myers and Rick Spielman to their front office. When I say Bob Myers, yes, the former Golden State Warriors GM, who built those title teams in Golden State, is jumping sports and going to the Washington Commanders. Apparently, he is going to lead the search for head coach and the football operations department. And Rick Spielman, who was a longtime GM for the Minnesota Vikings, was fired a couple of years ago, will assist him. An interesting move. But by the way, the Commanders have not yet fired their GM Martin Mayhew, but they are already interviewing candidates for GM. He's expected to be let go very shortly. It's very weird that they haven't fired him yet. I don't know what they're waiting for. From Martin Mayhew, I was like, hey guys, what's the owner's name? Josh, whatever his name is. Like, I'm fired, right? Like, I'm not here anymore. Like, you're about to hire my replacement. Can I leave? Like, that would be that would do if I was him. But there's gonna be a lot of changes in Washington. So that's what I got on that. When I was going over the Pro Bowl rosters yesterday, I know Redbox called in and we got off on some side routes, so I never actually went over the NFC Pro Bowl. I only did the AFC. So let's go over the NFC Pro Bowlers. At quarterback, you have Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, and Matthew Stafford. It was kind of a joke. Matthew Stafford really a Pro Bowler. Also in the AFC, like, why is Tua in the Pro Bowl? The running backs are Christian McCaffrey, DeAndre Swift, and Kyren Williams. The receiver CeeDee Lamb, who had a phenomenal year. He is a stud. A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, and Puka Nacua. Tight ends are George Kittle and Sam Laporta. I think they both went to Iowa, which is kind of funny. Or Kittle might not have, actually. I forget, but Sam Laporta did. The fullback was Kyle Juszczyk from the 49ers. The offensive tackle for Trent Williams, Lane Johnson, and Penei Sewell. The guards were Zach Martin, Chris Lindstrom, and Landon Dickerson. The centers were Jason Kelsey and Frank Ragnow. The defensive ends were Nick Bosa, Montez Sweat, and Aiden Hutchinson. The D tackles were Aaron Donald, of course, Dexter Lawrence, and Javon Hargrave. The outside linebackers, so some of them are edge rushers, basically, are Michael Parsons, Daniel Hunter, and Hassan Reddick. Inside linebackers were Fred Warner and Bobby Wagner. Corners were De'Aaron Bland, Travarius Ward from the 49ers, Jalen Johnson, and Devon Witherspoon. What a pick that was. 5th overall for Seattle. He's a dog. The safeties were Jesse Bates, Buda Baker, Julian Love, and those are the safeties. I thought there was one more. It says long snapper, not 2 S's. The Vikings long snapper, Andrew DePaul got in. Cool. No one really cares. Now, the punter is Brian Anger from the Cowboys. The kicker is their kicker, Brendan Aubrey, who missed 0 field goals this year. What a year he had. The return man was Rashid Shaheed from the Saints, and the special team was once again Jalen Reeves-Maybin for the 2nd year in a row for the Lions. He made it with the Commanders last year. This year he made it with the Lions. Those are your Pro Bowlers, and now I'm done talking about the Pro Bowl because no one cares about the Pro Bowl. Simple as that. On to hockey. Shout out to the United States of American World Junior team. They beat Sweden in the gold medal game. They win the gold. So shout out to them. Conor Bedard got hurt a few days ago. He's on IR with a fractured jaw. He might miss significant times. Hopefully he's okay. He's had a phenomenal rookie year. Only thing the Blackhawks have going for them is they are not good at hockey in any way, shape, or form. Let's do a little standings update for the NHL. So the Eastern Conference in first is the Boston Bruins. They have 55 points. In second is the Rangers with 54. Third is Florida with 52. And fourth is Carolina with 49. Toronto is in fifth with 47. Islanders are in sixth with 46. Philadelphia also is 46, but Islanders have a game in hand. So they're in seventh. And the Devils are 44. At the end here, it's very tight. Washington also has 44. They have the same amount of games as the Devils, but Devils have 2 more wins. They have 2 more losses, but 4 less overtime or shootout losses. The Penguins also have 44, but they've played 1 more game. The Red Wings also have 44, but they've played 2 more games than the Devils. At 43 points is the Tampa Bay Lightning. Well, they're so low this year. You have Montreal at 39 points. They've been better than I expected, to be honest. They got some young pieces. Buffalo's at 38. Buffalo's weird. I've said this before. They've beaten a lot of really good teams. But they also, like, sometimes just go out there and just lay an egg. Buffalo Sabres are either, whoa, this team has so much young talent. They are so good. They're going to make the playoffs, and their future is so bright. Then sometimes it's just like, holy moly, they suck. Will this be the year they break their playoff drought? I don't know. They're 6 points out right now. They have Columbus with 35 points, and the Ottawa Senators with 28 points. The coaching change has done basically nothing so far. In the Western Conference, Winnipeg Jets lead the West with 56 points. They've won 6 in a row. They have a 10-game point streak. Second is Vancouver, 55. They beat the Rangers last night, 6-3. They're playing really, really, really well this year. Colorado has 55. They're in third. They might win the cup this year, Colorado, honestly. They won 2 years ago. I thought they had a shot to repeat last year. They also in the first round to Seattle. They look really good. You have Dallas in fourth with 51. Vegas is also has 51, but they've played one more game in Dallas. The Kings in sixth with 46. Nashville in seventh with 45. You have Edmonton in eighth with 41. They've won 7 row. They've been a completely different team since they made the coaching change. Chris Nalbach definitely deserves a shot to be a head coach in the NHL. He's done a good job there. The St. Louis Blues have also have 41. They've played better since they fought Craig Berube as well, but they've played 2 more games in Edmonton. Seattle also has 41 games. They're getting hot. They've won 6 in a row and have a 10-game point streak. They've gotten themselves right back in the mix, but they've played 39 games. They've played more games. You have Arizona with 40 points. They're still right there, only a point out. You have Calgary with 39 points. You have Minnesota with 38 points. And then it gets really bad. You have the Anaheim Ducks with 27 points. The Chicago Blackhawks with 26 points. And the San Jose Sharks in dead last in the league with 21 points. They have not yet won 10 games yet. They have won a hockey game 9 times. They are 9, 28, and 3. Ouch. They are very, very, very bad. Only other thing that happened in the NHL was the Toronto Maple Leafs extended William Nylander 8 years for $92 million. So a big contract for William Nylander. My thoughts on he's a great player, but Toronto has so much money wrapped up in all this scoring, and they wonder why their goaltending is so bad every year. I don't know what to tell you. You don't have money to spend on the goaltender. I mean, they were right to not pay Jack Campbell because he got his bag in Edmonton and then fell off the face of the earth. I mean, you had Ilya Samsonov, who was so bad. They sent him down to the minors. Joseph Woll isn't that good. They're in some trouble. Comes to the goaltending. They're going to lose in the first round, I'm telling you. They don't have a goaltender. They're going to lose in the first round. Being to give up a whole lot to get a goaltender to trade line, or they're going to lose in the first round. In Toronto, they'll get a goalie somehow, and they'll still lose in the first round. It's Toronto. I don't expect anything from them. Onto the NBA standings. In the East, the Boston Celtics are in first place. They're 28-8. And second is Milwaukee at 25-12. You have Philly at 23-12. Miami at 21-15. It's really tight. You have Miami, Orlando, Indiana, Cleveland, and Knicks all the same record. That is crazy. 5 teams with the same record, 21-15. The Knicks won 4 rounds, bringing OG Anunoby. Bulls are at 17-21. They're the second to last playing team. And last playing team is the Brooklyn Nets. They are 16-21. You have Toronto at 15-21. Atlanta is a game out. 14-21. They've heard they're probably going to sell. They do have some pieces to sell, for sure. I heard Deontay Murray is on the block. He's averaging 20, almost 21 points and 5 assists this year. Shooting 46% from the field, 38 from 3, and 82, almost 80% from the line. He's a great guard. Her Clint Capella's available. Really good center. Averaging 11, almost 12 points and 10 boards. Shooting 58% from the field and 78 from the line. Bogdanovich is available. He's averaging 17 points a game this year. 40% from the field. 37% from 3. Shooting almost 91% from the free throw line. And DeAndre Hunter, who's still young. More top 5 pick. Hasn't been quite as advertised. He's averaging 14, almost 50 points a game. 4 boards. Shooting 41, 35, 76. He's also available. I heard they want to build around Trae Young and Jalen Johnson. Another young player they have. Then it gets really bad. The Charlotte Hornets are 8-26. The Washington Wizards are 6-30, and the Detroit Pistons are 3-33. Ouch. 3-33. Holy hell. They are bad. So the Pistons, this is how they've gone this year. They won 2 of their first 3. Lost 28 straight. Won a game. I think they lost a couple. They won a game. Now they've lost 4 more in a row. Yikes. They are very bad. In the West, Minnesota Timberwolves still leading the Western Conference 25-10. Shout out to OKC Thunder. 24-11. I saw a stat. They have 10 guys shooting over 4% from 3. They're currently shooting over 83% from the line at the free throw line, which is an NBA record. I think you're top 5 in offensive and defensive rating. Shai is an MVP candidate. Chet Holmgren's is a Rookie of the Year favorite right now. They are just balling right now. See if they make a trade a little later in the season. Yeah, but Denver Nuggets still at 26-12. Jokic might still be the MVP, to be honest. He's so good. Yeah, the Clippers 23-13. The Clippers have only lost 3 times since December. They've been playing really, really well. Yeah, Sacramento 21-14. Dallas 22-15, as is New Orleans. You have Houston 18-17, Phoenix 19-18. That's not going to work there. They've too many injuries of Durant and Beal and all of them. Lakers 18-19. They've been really struggling, clinging to a play-in spot right now. Quite hard on LeBron. I have nothing else to say. As you guys know, I don't like him. Utah's at 18-20, as is Golden State. But like Draymond Green has been reinstated after a 12-game suspension. Could take about a week to ramp up to return to action. Apparently, he told himself he was going to retire, but Silver talked him out of it. Interesting development there. The Memphis Grizzlies are 4 knocking down a playing spot, but they had some really bad news. John Morant, who's only played 9 games, of course, he was suspended. He's having shoulder surgery to repair a torn ligament. He's out for the year. That's a really, really tough loss for the Grizzlies. Tough break for John Morant. Just going off on their suspension. Now he gets hurt. I hope he still stays out of trouble. Now he's not playing. I'm really worried, but I hope he stays out of trouble. And Memphis, they might have to stick a fork in their ear. I know the last 2 years they've been the second best team in the West the last 2 years. And you never expect it to be, top 3 again this year in that conference, but they might just look at guys like, Marcus Smart and John Conchar and start taking some calls because they were awful without Ja. And now they don't have him for the rest of the year. Then you had the Portland Trailblazers, who are 10-25, and the god-awful San Antonio Spurs are 5-30. Ouch. That's the NBA standings. Got some more drama going on in Golden State. Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody are very frustrated with their roles. I'm hearing they might trade Andrew Wiggins so that Kuminga can get more of a role, so they don't have to trade him. Moses Moody is also frustrating. Chris Paul is having surgery. He's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks with a fractured hand. So Golden State is in shambles right now. All right, we got some baseball news and free agency. First off, Michael Brantley announced retirement. He had a really nice career. Was always a really good hitter. Portrait can never really stay healthy. But he announced retirement. He was a .298 career hitter. Played for a while. He has announced his retirement from the game of baseball. With an interesting trade. So the Mariners traded Robbie Ray to the San Francisco Giants and return to get Anthony DeSclafani and Mitch Haniger. I actually like this move by the San Francisco Giants. Because Robbie Ray, yes, he only made 1 start last year because he had Tommy John. He's going to miss the first couple months of the year. Won't see him until probably at least June. But he's a really good pitcher. Yes, he walks a lot of guys. These are his walks per season in years where he played a full season. 49, 71, 71, 70, and that was in 24 starts in 2018. 84, yikes. In the pandemic year, he only made 11 starts because of the shortened year. He was terrible that year. He had still had 45 walks. He had 52 in his Cy Young year, 62 in his last full season. These are also his strikeout numbers in the full season. In 23 starts in 2015, he had 119. Then he had 218, 165 in 24 starts, 235. He had 68 in the pandemic year. He had 248 in his Cy year, and his last healthy he had 212. He throws really hard. He strikes out a lot of guys who Cy Young 2 years ago. In 2021 in Toronto, he was 13th with a 2.84 ERA, 193 net innings. He led the league in innings and strikeouts a year of 248 strikeouts. He led the league at year ERA plus of 157. Led the league in WHIP, just a touch over 1. Well, he led the league in starts that year. Still solid 2 years ago in Seattle. 3.7 and 32 starts and 12 wins. So if he's healthy, he's a very good starting pitcher. He's showing he's had some ups and downs. At the pitching level in his first full year in Arizona in 2015, he had 3.52 in 23 starts. He had a 4.9 the year after. There was an all-star in 2017 in Arizona. Had 15 wins and a 2.89, 28 starts. He's low injury prone. He only made 24 starts in 2018. Was okay. In 2019, he was healthy, but had a 4.34. He was terrible in the pandemic year. Then 21, he went to Cy Young in Toronto. It was good, low aggression in 2022, and now he's coming with Tommy John. But if he's healthy, he has a chance to be a really good solid starting pitcher. Going the other way for Seattle, they got Mitch Haniger, who returns to Seattle. He was there from 17 to 2022. He was a great player. He's just never healthy. These are the amount of games he's played per season. His rookie only played 34. Then 96, 157, 63, 157. By the way, he didn't play a single game in 2020. 57 and 61. So he's always hurt. And he struggled last year, only at 209 and 211 at bats, but he's played a full season twice. In 2018, he was an all-star, hit 285 with 26 homers, 93 RBIs. He had 366 on base, 493 slugging, and 859 OPS. In 2021, Seattle, he hit 253 with 39 homers, 100 RBIs. He had 318 on base, 45 slugging, and an 804 OPS. I mean, 2 years ago, he had a 736 RBI, which isn't bad. So if he's healthy, has the potential to be very good. But he's only been healthy twice. And he's 26 now. I don't think counted because he only had 120, 109 at bat. So this will be his, I think, 8th season in the league. He's only played a full year twice. He's only played like 120 games, if that, like 118 games over the last 2 years. He hasn't really been, and even he hasn't been that good the last 2 years anyway, even when healthy. 2 years ago, his last year in Seattle, in 224 at bats, he hit 246, 11 homers, 34 RBIs, a 736 OPS. Last year, 211 at bats in San Francisco at 209, the 631 OPS with 6 homers and 28 RBIs. They also got Anthony DeSclafani, who's had some good years. Didn't have a good year last year. Last year in 18 starts, he was 4.8 ERA. Prior to that was a pretty solid starting pitcher. He's had some good years, so they'll kind of bounce back from him. I don't get what Seattle is doing. So they traded Eugenio Suarez for nothing, who was a big bat in their lineup. So maybe they're just shedding salary. They made the move with the Braves. They gave up on Jared Kelenic. And they also sent away Marco Gonzalez. Didn't really get a lot back in that trade. I thought, okay, I guess they're deciding they're giving up on Kelenic, trying to, unclog the logjam they had in the outfield. And then you ship out Marco Gonzalez because they just didn't have room for him in the rotation. He's come off a year where he only made 10 starts, then he got hurt. He wasn't very good. He hasn't been elite in 2 years, 2 or 3 years. But a big move is coming, and the big move was, and now they shipped out Robbie Ray, who's been proven to be a very good starting pitcher when healthy. You get back Haniger, who's never healthy, hasn't even been a league average hitter in a couple of years. And then DeSclafani, who had a ERA close to 5 last year, is a solid 3rd or 4 in a rotation. Don't really know what they're doing. Especially for a team that, 2 years ago finally made the playoffs. They're missing it for 20 years in a row. Last year, won 90 games, 93 games, whatever it was, but ended up missing the playoffs. And is in the same division as the Texas Rangers, who are loaded, the defending champs, and the Houston Astros, who are still really good. They are definitely a playoff team next year. Yes, they're better than the Angels, who suck, and the A's, who are, I don't even think they're a Major League Baseball team anymore. But they were clearly the 3rd best team in their division, and they've done nothing. You added an injury-prone outfielder, who although they are familiar with, and the starting pitcher coming off one of the worst years of his career. And you sent out Eugenio Suarez, who had a good year last year. You gave up on Jared Kelenic, who showed some signs of life last year. You sent away Marco Gonzalez, who went healthy for the most part, has been a capable starting pitcher. Sent away Robbie Ray, who went healthy, is really good. And then all you got back was an injury-prone outfielder and okay starting pitcher at best. So I'm not really sure what they are doing. The Mets made a free agent sign. They signed Show Mania, 2 years, $28 million. Mania last year had a weird year. You look at his numbers: 37 games, 10 starts. He's up 4.4 ERA. He started last year in the Giants' rotation, was horrible. Then they put him in the bullpen, and he pitched really well. At the end of the year, they put him in the rotation, and he pitched well. He came up in Oakland. He had some good years there. He had a 4.37 in 29 starts in 2017. He had a 3.59 in 27 starts in 2018. Then 2019 missed most of the year. He struggled in 2020. In 21, he had a 3.91. But he struggled in 2022 in San Diego. They made a trade for him, and Oakland blew up their team. In 28 starts, 9.6. And last year in San Francisco, he was pretty consistent. Though I do think he's got some momentum because he pitched very well at the bullpen. When they put him back on the rotation, he pitched well. He added a sweeper to his pitch arsenal during the year, and it really changed the game for him. You know, hitters really struggled against that pitch. But when I look at the Mets rotation, they have Kawhi Senga, who obviously is really good. The rest of your rotation is Jose Quintana, Luis Severino, Adrian Hauser, and Show Mania. Mania I could see him bouncing back. Maybe being a pretty good arm. Hauser can need some innings in the back of the rotation, as can Quintana if he's healthy. He's also getting older, coming off a year he didn't pitch a lot. And Severino was the worst starting pitcher in the league last year and is never healthy. And even the lineup, like the big addition was Harrison Bader, who's a great outfielder, and they're better off defensively with him in center and Nimmo in left. But he's a .230 hitter. He doesn't do anything for you offensively. So I don't really know what they're doing. That being said, I do understand if David Stern's a new GM who's obviously their president of baseball operations comes in here and spends all this money and doesn't work out, he's gonna get flamed by the New York media and by the New York fans. Like I understand him, trying to go in easy. I know they're still not done yet. They're talking to a bunch of relievers trying to bolster their bullpen. They still want another bat. They want their DH. They're trying to trade for another starter still. So I'm hoping they get at least one more proven guy in the middle of that rotation, and they actually both add another bat. Because this team right now, they won 75 games last year. I don't know if this roster wins 75 games as currently constructed. But if they add a couple more pieces, they might be able to compete for a playoff spot. Right now, I don't even know if they can do that because this roster is not that good. It just isn't. The Dodgers make another move. They signed Teoscar Hernandez, who's a really good outfielder. He was in Seattle last year. Before that, was in Toronto for a while. Last year at 258 with 26 homers, 93 RBIs, and a 7.41 OPS. He's a really good middle of the order bat. Another big piece. They're deferring $8.5 million of it from 2030 to 2039. A 1-year deal, which is interesting. So they basically spent only $15 million on Teoscar Hernandez. So I don't even hate that they're deferring the money. At the end of the day, the player has to agree to it. Ohtani agreed to defer basically his whole salary until after his contract is over. Teoscar Hernandez is saying, all right, I'll make $15 million this year, and then 6 years from now, you'll pay me what, like a little over $1.5 million a year or something. Whatever that comes to. So is what it is. Tolia Tagovailoa, Tua's brother, who's at Maryland, he went into he's in the transfer portal. He needs to get a waiver from the NCAA to get another year of eligibility. So we'll see what happens. Texas tight end Jatavion Sanders is declaring for the draft. He's ranked the third best tight end in this class. This tight end draft is not very good. Brock Bowers is a stud. There's one or two other guys, including Sanders, who are okay, and the rest kind of suck. So then you have only other things I have to talk about is Alex Smith and Randy Moss are going to be in the College Football Hall of Fame. So kudos to them. Alex Smith was a good NFL quarterback. He was at Utah State for a while. Before that, he was really, really good. Remember, he was #1 overall pick in 2005. And of course, Randy Moss was a stud at Central Michigan. And of course, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Tiger Woods and Nike had parted ways in 27 years. That was very shocking. Tiger's been one of Nike's top athletes, of course, for a while. He's now a billionaire, Tiger Woods, but and for 27 years they have parted ways. The only other thing I want to talk about is I'm going to recap SmackDown from Friday. I'm not going to go into Monday Night Raw quite yet. Of course, the highlight was a triple threat match between AJ Styles, LA Knight, and Randy Orton. The winner was going to face Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble, but Roman Reigns and the Bloodline sabotaged the match, so ended in a no contest. Then you saw Nick Aldis going to Paul Heyman and say, "Congratulations, you earned yourself a fatal 4 match." So all of them will fight Roman at Royal Rumble. This is interesting because you got The Rock involved, obviously. So what do? There's a lot of different ways that you could book this. Everyone's saying, "Oh, Roman's going to win. Roman's going to win." To me, there's a scenario where you can have him lose. What if you do this? What if you have Randy Orton win the match, and then you have Roman and Rock fight at WrestleMania, but not for the title? You have Cody Rhodes win the Elimination Chamber, and then Randy fights Cody for the title at WrestleMania, and Cody finishes the story against Randy Orton. So there's a lot of different ways that you can go with this. Because I think CM Punk is winning the Royal Rumble, and that will set up a match against Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. I think that's where they're going. So with this, I heard the original plan was to have Randy Orton fight Roman in a one-on-one match, but they didn't want Randy Orton to get pinned so soon after he came back. So, because all three of them had beef with the Bloodline. Obviously, we know Randy Orton because they took him out for 18 months. LA Knights had a rivalry with him for a while. AJ Styles, the one took him out all those months ago. Wonder, could Roman lose at the Royal Rumble? I know some people think, they're going to keep the title on the WrestleMania. He's going to break Hulk Hogan's record in 2025. You gotta remember, he's had that one title. It's I know Unify, the first one he's had to break the record, but the other time he hasn't had as long, so technically he wouldn't break the record. So we gotta see. We'll see. Interesting to see what they do, but we'll see what Triple H does. Other stuff that happened. Yeah, Kevin Owens defeat Santos Escobar. He will challenge Logan Paul for the United States Championship at the Royal Rumble. I'm hoping Kevin Owens wins. Logan Paul is a celebrity. At the end of the day, though, he is a very good wrestler. So you had after you had Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits coming out, then Karrion Kross came out, and all of a sudden, you saw that one dude forgot you had Paul Ellering came in. You're like, what the heck? And the AOP returned after almost 4 years. So it appears that Karrion Kross and the AOP are now going to be a faction. So we'll see what happens with that. Io Sky defeated Michin to defend her WWE Women's Championship. That was actually a very good match. You had Butch and Tyler Bate was called up from NXT. Defeated Pretty Deadly in a tag team match. Butch and Tyler Bate were actually a tag team in NXT. Were very successful. Apparently, they've actually been friends for a while. I think Tyler Bate's first ever professional wrestling match, I think, in another country 12 years ago was against Butch, and they've become good friends ever since then. They were together in NXT. Both got really long hair. That could be an interesting tag team. Now, the Brawling Brutes basically not a thing anymore. We got Rich Holland now in NXT, and Sheamus kind of doing his own thing. And then Ashante Adonis, he wanted an opportunity from Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis said, I would give you an opportunity. By the way, I love Nick Aldis. He is doing a phenomenal job. He might be the best SmackDown GM since what's his name? Teddy Long. And Adam Pearce doing a great job on Raw too. They killed him with those two choices. Especially Nick Aldis. Oh my god, he is phenomenal. He is great. Oh my god. We'll see what he has in store for Ashante Adonis. Of course, he used to be in with Hit Row, freaking Top Dollar, who might be the worst wrestler I've ever seen. And then B-Fab just kind of stood there and don't know what her role was. I mean, Ashante Adonis, I haven't seen much from him, but we'll see what happens. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. Today's Tuesday, so I'm gonna most likely do a show tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. And the next time you'll see me will be Monday. I'll have the studio back, so I'll plan something cool for you guys because on Monday will be the first episode of season 5 of Talking Sports with Jake. So stay tuned for that. But until next time, so long. Have a great day.